Week 9 quarterback, tight end, defense rankings. And listen, S tier of quarterback specific. Guess what, boys? We got 2 names that are head to head. This is made before Sunday Night Football, before Monday Night Football. I could care less what Mahomes does on Monday night against the Commanders. I have Mahomes and Allen as 1A, 1B. Because guess what? We have a Chiefs at Bills matchup, 4:30 on Sunday. I don't know how it's not Sunday Night Football. For some reason, the Seahawks and Commanders is. Don't even get me started, man. And we have Cardinals and Cowboys on Monday night. I don't understand it. Smash the subscribe button if you like these videos. It really helps us out as a small channel. And let me know, do you have any questions as to who to start this week? But look, Lamar also has to be in S tier as well. This will also factor in rest of season rankings. There are 4 teams on bye week, and this is going to start out with Hurts, so we'll talk about that in a second. But Lamar Jackson, short week for the Ravens. Lamar, we haven't seen him in a couple weeks. They play on Thursday night in Miami. 7.5 point favorites. I expect Lamar back. He practiced to a decent capability. He probably could have played in week 8. They wanted to give him some rest. I think Lamar is back up here as an elite option, but I still don't want to trust him up here in this S tier. I'm going to leave him right here as QB3 in the A tier. Jalen Hurts. Listen, these are the 4 teams on buys. The Browns. That's Flacco. Oh my God, I just had a slip up. It's Gabriel. My bad. But also, notably, the Cleveland Browns said that Dylan Gabriel, even though he looks like trash, will be the quarterback coming off of their bye weeks. Keep that in mind. The Bucs, we have no Baker this week, no Hurts this week, and no Justin Fields this week. Baker Mayfield, going to stay where he is, but Drake May is going to leapfrog him. 3 passing touchdowns in week 8, paired with 50 rushing yards. Yep. I like it. Dak. To be honest, Dak could have had a heck of a game against the Broncos if there wasn't so much pass interference taking place in the end zone, right? So looking at Dak Prescott and what he did versus Denver, 6 fantasy points. But keep in mind, Javonte had 2 touchdowns from the 1. Dak got stuffed on a tush push at the 1. So I think Dak could have very easily had at least 2 touchdowns versus Denver. It kind of just was unfortunate. He's going to bounce back in a big way on Monday Night Football. I like him where he is. Jackson Dart continues to be very solid. Now, no Cam Scatabo will hurt Jackson Dart's rest of season rankings for sure. Tyrone Tracy is a good waiver wire ad. We already talked about him in the running back video. I'm going to leave B tier where it is. There's an argument to be made that, oh, sure, Bo Nix could be ahead of both of these guys. But I don't think that these guys in B tier, like, you don't really have 2 of them on the same team in your fantasy roster. So I think that the B tier is good where it is. Let's monitor Jayden Daniels' injury status as well. I mean, Jayden Daniels obviously should be up somewhere up here, maybe even here. Drake May's looked really, really good this season. But rest of the season, Daniels is, I don't want to call him injury prone just yet. But that's what it's looking like. Caleb Williams, I said I would be dropping in my rankings, and I might. But I'm going to leave him in D tier. I'm going to bump Scam Darnold up because JSN is giving Darnold a pretty nice ceiling that we saw last year that he had with Jefferson. So Darnold seems like he is somebody you can trust to give you 2 passing touchdowns in a tough matchup. You have Darnold and the Seahawks, again, Sunday Night Football. So prime time, let's see what Scam Darnold does. Herbert also looks like somebody I would trust more than Caleb Williams week to week. I'd honestly probably bump Goff up. Caleb Williams has a higher ceiling because of the rushing upside, but the volatility, I can't be asked. Can't not be asked. When the Jets dropped 39 points and won, surely Fields was a stud. He wasn't. Not good. It was all Breece Hall, and Fields looked good, but from a fantasy day, it wasn't great. We're going to leave him where he is, and the rest of these rankings will also remain. Now, specific guys we need to talk about. Kyler Murray. Is Kyler Murray coming back off of their bye week? He should be. Would I trust him? Probably not, right? He'd be right there with Fields. So I'm going to put Kyler Murray back in the rankings right there. I still don't, I'm not excited about starting him. Matthew Stafford's coming off of a, 4 touchdown passing performance? 5 passing touchdown performance. And from weeks 2 to weeks 5, he was averaging 2.5 passing touchdowns per game. And then week 6, 1 touchdown. Week 7, 5. So the last 5 or 6 weeks, Matt Stafford has looked elite, man. So Stafford definitely has to jump up in these rankings. Honestly, I'd rather trust Stafford in my lineup than some of these guys right here. Matchup versus the Saints. Now, there's a chance that they just feed Kyren Williams. It might even be smart to do that. But with Puka and Devontae, welcome back to fantasy football, Matt Stafford. Who would have thought it? Indiana Jones is not here in the graphic, but he's here in our hearts. And I like Indiana Jones actually ahead of Bo Nix. That's how high I have Indiana Jones ranked. I trust the consistency, and I would be starting him in my fantasy football lineup week to week. Aaron Rodgers, maybe he should be higher. I don't really trust any of the rest of these guys down here in the bottom of the barrel. You have Tyler Shuff making an appearance. Don't trust him. McCarthy, still don't trust him. So I'm going to leave this list as is. We're going to hop to tight ends. Tight end is going to be interesting. Jake Ferguson, he honestly didn't have a great game versus the Denver Broncos. It was mostly CeeDee, mostly George Pickens. I still think Ferguson has to remain in S tier. Who would you bump ahead of him? Warren or McBride, right? Now, Bowers should hopefully be back. He's been out for 3 or 4 weeks. Because of the troll factor of him being out and how bad this Raiders offense has looked. Listen, Bowers is good, sure. He hasn't looked good this season, first off, excluding the injury. But Geno Smith throwing the ball 12 times a game, having 12 completions. I mean, Bowers can't perform with those numbers. So this might just be a trash offense. So Bowers is actually going to be 8th here, and Kittle is going to join him. But every week in which Kittle gets further removed from that hamstring tear, he just gets better and better, from a goose egg to tight end day where he had 4 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown. So I would still trust Kittle in my lineup. Warren and McBride, they're going to stay at the top of the top. Kyle Pitts is going to jump all the way up. He was the only guy that produced for the Atlanta Falcons in fantasy. Pitts is putting together a heck of a year. I trust him in my lineup. Kelsey, Kraft, I trust them both. Kraft is more volatile. Kelsey is higher ceiling. But both of these guys are good fantasy football options. Dallas Goedert had 2 receiving touchdowns, but the target volume you can't trust. So this is pretty much boom or bust in a way for Goddard, where he has to kind of hit pay dirt. Ertz, Hockenson, Henry. If we look at Hunter Henry, let's take a look. I mean, I don't think it's been super consistent. He's been having good touchdown luck this season. Like, if we take a look at what he did in week number 8, 7, because he had 1 catch for 1 touchdown. I mean, week 3, week 4 were really his best weeks when he had those touchdowns. Yeah, you can't trust Hunter Henry in your lineup, and I wouldn't trust Hunter Henry in your lineup. We take a look at Evan Ingram, because every time I see the Broncos this week, it seems like Evan Ingram's getting good involvement. I guess not, but still, like 10-point average over the last 4 weeks for a tight end isn't terrible. Averaging 6 targets per game. I mean, still going to leave him down here in C tier. I'm still going to leave Hawk where he is. Still going to leave Ertz where he is. And D tier isn't really great either. So this is where you gotta just go off vibes. Like, where should people be? First things first, we have another guy joining A tier. Oronde Gadsden. I would put Oronde Gadsden down here in the bottom of A tier. He's my tight end 6, 7, or 8 moving forward rest of season. The big time riser, Mr. Gadsden. So welcome to the club, buddy. Dalton Kincaid, can't trust him. Jonnu Smith, can't trust him. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of bleak. Like, the Commanders take on Seattle on Sunday Night Football. I think Ertz has a good chance if Daniels is back to produce in that game. Gunnar Helms is a name to keep an eye on. The one guy I'm missing here is on a bye week, so I'm not really concerned. It's Harold Fannin, and you guys know week to week, we've had Harold Fannin ranked down here in B tier. And again, Fannin would slot in right ahead of Kelsey for me rest of season. So that is the weekly and rest of season tight end rankings. Let's hop over to defense. Again, these should be used to hopefully help you make starts and decisions. And also, if you need to send somebody to waivers, this is what these lists are for. We're going to hop over to defenses, which is where you want to start looking at where you want to spend your fab. Defenses for week 9. Who do you want to grab off waivers? Well, you have the Packers coming off waivers. Although they're probably already added. The Green Bay Packers take on the Panthers. Bryce Young, is he back? Coming off of an ankle sprain? It might be Andy Dalton. If it is, Packers remain S tier. The Chargers take on the Titans. Any team taking on the Titans looks like a good matchup. I'm actually going to have another S tier team this week. The Rams take on the Saints, and they might have a rookie quarterback. I think the Rams are actually going to be my number 1 defense versus Tyler Shuff this week. Defense number 4 we got to talk about is the Lions versus the Vikings. J.J. McCarthy's first time back. The Lions offense I know is going to feast, but I think it's more of an A tier type matchup. Jaguars versus the Raiders. Raiders have looked so bad, but the Jaguars, they're only 3-point favorites, so maybe Vegas knows something we don't. Maybe that has to do with the BTJ injury more than anything. The Broncos take on the Texans. Yeah, I guess. I mean, Dak looked all right, though, but so we'll think about it. The Texans take on the Broncos. Bo Nix looked all right. The Ravens take on the Dolphins, and the Dolphins just look really good, but can you expect Tua to continue it versus Baltimore? That's a question mark. I don't think it's A tier. I don't think the Broncos really are A tier either. More of a B tier type matchup. The 49ers take on the Giants. And to be honest, without Cam Scatterbo and Malik Neighbors, how competitive can the Giants be? Jackson Dart can only do so much. The Bears take on the Bengals, but the Bengals offense looks good, so I'm going to stay away from them. The Colts take on the Steelers. Don't love that. Yeah, the matchups this week aren't great. You have the Patriots taking on the Falcons. The Falcons just look really bad. I'm actually going to put the Patriots up here in B tier as well. I think this is a solid defense start. That's what? We got 9 teams. We need 3 more teams, guys. And it doesn't look good. Like this is where things start to be a struggle. You don't want to start the Chiefs or the Bills because either of these offenses could be very, very good. I mean, yeah, this is where we start having to start C-tier teams. And that means the Jaguars, I mean, we already have them up on there. The Texans versus the Broncos. I guess that's going to be like a C-tier team that we're going to have to throw in. The Bears versus the Bengals. The Bengals versus the Bears. I can't trust the Bengals. I can't trust them, man. Now, Seattle, the Seahawks defense has been a reliable weekly defense week in, week out. So I would put them there in the starting 12 because this Seattle's defense has been giving you fantasy points all season long. That's 10 defenses. I mean, I like up until Seattle, maybe even Baltimore. But if you don't have one of these top 10, you might be cooked. You might be cooked, man, because it's hard to look at the matchups and say, oh, I know this team's going to score low points. That is all of the ranking videos done for the week. Let's go kill Week 9 fantasy. Hopefully you have at least 5 wins up until this point in the season.